Welcome, everyone. This is another episode of Love Wrestling Interviews. My name is Blair Pacheco. You see me every weekend on the Love Wrestling YouTube channel doing 4 Exposure with my good friend Pluggo as we take a look at the world of independent wrestling. But today, here on Love Wrestling Interviews, I'm interviewing one of my favorites. I'm talking to Elliot Tyler. Elliot, how are things going?
They're going swimmingly. Everything is great. I can't find a single complaint. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
We talked before, and I always enjoy chatting with you. I know we talked last year on the Grainmaker podcast just about whatever, but I want to know 2024 as a whole, because we're kicking into 2025. How was 2024 for you?
2024 was spectacular. I made my return. As you know, I took a few months off of wrestling to kind of refigure myself out, which was much needed. Really good for my confidence and my overall mental health. And I got to have my first match back almost a year ago in a couple of weeks. It'll be like first week of February against Daniel Makabe. And, you know, it's kind of full circle because we were talking about it before about how you were watching my Roseland match. It was this time last year I went to watch Liza wrestle at Roseland. I was driving with her, keeping her company. And it was just before I was starting to come back. And I remember telling myself, like, I would love to get back to Prestige. And it just didn't seem like something that was going to be so doable because they're a huge entity. They've grown so much. I worked for them when we were both in our infant stages, but they had just blown up. And then for a whole year later, for everything I was able to accomplish in 2024, it was kind of the cap off that a year almost to the day I made my Roseland debut. So I like to think of that kind of as my show for what 2024 was, because wrestling wise, it did a lot for my confidence and it did a lot for my belief in myself. I guess that goes hand in hand with confidence, but yeah, it's nice. And I feel like 2024 did a lot of good for me as a person and as a performer.
You know, it's kind of nice knowing that, like you mentioned, you know, making the return to Prestige. You guys had kind of worked together starting off, but knowing that you guys are in a good place, that you can do your things for a little bit and still come back with open arms, and like it's like nothing has changed. And I think that is something very valuable in wrestling.
I agree. Yeah, William is, I don't know if it's like well known that he's the owner, but William, the owner of Prestige, he's very kind to me. He welcomed me back very quickly with open arms. He gave me I just shot him a message after the show, and it was just, you know, hey, it's been like 5 years since I've worked in the States and 6 years since I've worked with you, and I would love to change that if it ever works out. And he answered honestly that things were kind of going in a certain direction, and if he could find a spot, he would. And I'm very grateful that he found one really quick and that I was able to kind of fit in where I have now. And I feel like I'm doing something really cool with them. You know, I've been wrestling going on 9 years. And in those 9 years, 5 of them have been actively wrestling in the States. And this is the first time in my life I've had a singles run in the States. I've always been a tag guy down there just because it was easier to break in that way. But it's cool. It's something I've never done. It's completely untreaded waters for me. And I'm very grateful that Will has given me so much confidence from him to me to be able to perform what I'm doing right now.
Well, let's talk about that, because I mean, you made your return. We saw, kind of showing up during Drexl's little announcement. And what we got out of that was at Prestige Roseland 10, an incredible tag match between you and Sid Silem versus Drexl and Matt Tremont. And dude, this was fantastic. I loved watching how much you reveled in the hate coming from the crowd, because that smile, it came like, it was a smile of love. You could tell you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's really cool because, like I said, 9 years. In those 9 years, I've very steadily just been a good guy. You know, I mean, you look at my face. I have like the face of a 14-year-old boy who's just happy to be here. there's no beating around the bush on that one. I'm a happy person. I smile a lot. So that's just always kind of what I've been put as, and that's fine. I love it. But to get an opportunity to do something that's completely what I've never done before, being a piece of shit and a pretty big one at that, if you think about it, it's really cool and it's really fun because it's kind of like every time I'm doing something, it's new and I really enjoy it, especially like you said, with me smiling and really reveling in it, because it was kind of this moment of like, oh shit, like this is going well.
Yeah.
they do hate me. This is awesome.
And that's something you like when, a bad guy, a heel, can revel in the hatred from the crowd. And you know that you have them hooked when you can have that smile on your face and they are even, you smile and they're eating that up even more. It's great.
It is. It really is. And like full props to the guy I'm feuding with, Drexl, because there's a lot of people I could have done that to and I would have just kind of been a bad guy, but he's like, the backbone of Portland wrestling for the last like 15 years. I think he's the right person to try to break the skull of, to get on the bad side of people,
And I don't want to, ruin too much of the match because I think everyone should go out and check it out. It's up on YouTube still, if I'm not mistaken. But like, was that the first time you had a dollar bill stapled to your head?
First time I've had a dollar bill, yes. However, I have had other things stapled to my head in the past. First time for American currency, yes.
Okay. Well, that exchange is so much better. So you got to take what you can get.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, we kind of talked about 2024 earlier, and one thing I noticed was that like you have almost been put in like a leadership role when it comes to wrestling in BC, because you are no longer the new guy on the scene. You are someone that, people come to you and like, you can see it with how much you hype up other wrestlers and just like pumping their tires. And I think that it speaks volumes to the person that you are. Did you ever see yourself in sort of this leadership spot? So
I will counterpoint you here. And I don't know if it's so much a leadership role as much as it's just like I prefer to look at it as like a friend role, because to me, I think, and I get like 9 years, sure, and then when you add like the training and the time I've been around and like helping out and paying my dues, for lack of a better term, before that, like we're going on like 12 13 years, but I'm still like I'm 26, I'm a baby, so I don't like to think leadership role or anything like that. I have new trainees and they're like, it's good to meet you, sir. I watched your matches so-and-so years ago. And I'm like, you need to shut the fuck up. you need to not say that. I'm a baby. I'm a child. But I don't like to think leadership. I like to, one of my coaches, Tony Baroni, has a very good belief system in you have to leave it better than you found it. And to me, that really resonates with me. And that's why I try so hard to pump up the brakes, pump up the what was the
pump their tires.
Pump your tires. Thank you. Yeah. I'm not an analogy person, but I try really hard to do that because I want to be kind of the veteran, for lack of a better term. I don't like that word, but I want to be the experienced wrestler that I wish I had when I was new. I want to be that smiling face, that encouraging face, that guy that is at the school as much as he can be there. Always working on his stuff. Like I'm always going to fundamentals because I love it, and training is great. And that's just like, I want to kind of put out this is me and this is who I think people that have been doing it this long should be acting. And a lot of people do. This isn't me being like, no one does. Like the mindset has greatly changed over the last 10 years, but I'm just a small part of the change. But yeah, I don't like to think it's like a leadership role as much as it's just like, I'm trying to be encouraging. I'm trying to encourage my friends and motivate my friends, and they're doing the same for me, and I'm grateful for it.
That's a good way to put it, is just, helping motivate friends, because like in wrestling, it's so easy to get discouraged and it's so easy to get down. So having that positive, person next to you, like that can speak volumes and really help people. And in today's day, it's tough out there. So like it can really help.
Yeah.
A few years ago, we were talking off air before, and I was mentioned I was going to bring this up. A few years ago,
Okay.
I remember a tweet coming out
Oh,
talking about how you wanted to be in a no ring show. You were hyped for it.
Yeah, I did.
And now all of a sudden we are getting like full board deathmatch ET, it seems, because you've got a couple big matches in the next couple of weeks that I want to bring up. You've got the dog collar match with NEW February 1st. Is this the first ever dog collar match for you?
I did one a week and a half ago. It wasn't my first one. I did one a week and a half ago for 365, where I retained my big gold. But that would be the first one coming up on the second. Yeah.
Dude, okay, you got that, and February 23rd at No Fate, you and Jimmy Lloyd.
Yeah.
No ring show.
Have they even announced? Oh, no, there is a ring for that show.
There is a ring. It's a ring. Okay. But it is a thumbtack match, correct?
Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure if they'd announced the stipulation. It's a 10,000 thumbtack death match.
Oh, dude, are you ready for this?
I asked for it. I did. I truthfully did. I will tell you, one of the best wrestling matches I've ever seen live was at the Rickshaw Theater. It was for a company that's non-existent anymore called Wise Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
And the main event was Kenny Lush. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I've heard the name, but I don't know too much.
Big deal in BC. At least I thought he was. He was the man to me. Kenny Lush, and he wrestled like the Leatherface.
Okay.
In a 10,000 thumbtack death match. And it's just one of the craziest matches ever. Leatherface is coming out, and he's got this like chainsaw that shoots sparks. And I don't know if you know much about the rickshaw, but it's kind of like...
It's legendary in BC.
Of course, but the area surrounding it is very densely populated by the homeless. It's not a great area. Not a lot being done for the people in the area, but at the time, Leatherface, he wins his, I believe he won it, and then he runs outside the front door of the venue with his chainsaw, Leatherface mask on, and just starts ripping this, and sparks are flying in the air. I've never seen so many people run so fast. People thought they were going to die. It was crazy. And that whole match is just imprinted on my brain, and I've wanted to do it ever since, and No Fate has been very, very nice at allowing me to kind of check one off the dream list.
Like for yourself, I mean, obviously you watch wrestling, you do your research, but like, is there any sort of, rhyme or reason for the research you're doing for these matches? Like, because a dog collar match and a 10,000 thumbtack match, I mean, that can do some damage to the body. That, mentally, physically, how do you prepare for that?
I'm of the mindset if you don't use it, it'll rust. So either way, the body's going to break down. And I would rather, tell people on my deathbed that it broke down from 10,000 thumbtacks and dog collars and tables and light tubes. I'd rather say that than like, oh yeah, I got a knee replacement because I went for too many walks, like it's going to break. I'm going to have to get things replaced. It's the way it is, it's the way the body works. And I would rather have like a cool reason for it.
100%. I like that those are the two, like the options. It's like knee replacement from walking or your body being replaced from a thumbtack match.
Yeah. Is what it is.
So you mentioned you're checking this one off the list.
Yes.
Is there any others that you can share that you want to have as a part of your career before it's said and done?
I had a steel cage, but I would like to have another. It was hard. It was on a show that had 4 steel cage matches on it. So every match was very limited to say. I don't want to pull back the curtain too much, but there was a lot of this match, you guys can't do this and that sort of thing. I didn't really get to let the we use tables in our match. Yeah. And that was our big thing. It's that's not really a steel cage match, So I'd like to redo that one. And then you're a TNA guy, I assume.
Yeah, I grew up on that. I remember watching the old pay-per-views on illegal satellite growing up.
Yeah. So. Dude, give me an Ultimate X match. I don't care how there's a group of people in the area that we've been saying it for years. Give us an Ultimate X match, and that's the big dream.
I in my head, as soon as you said that, the names started rolling of like who I would like to see in that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to throw them out now. I don't want to, but like after we stop recording, I'll be like, who'd be good in that? This person.
Oh, we'll draft.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah.
I'm hyped for that. I love the fact that, like there's still, I mean, you said it before, you've been doing this for 9 years wrestling, even longer being a part of it, but that there's still the hunger and drive to like do more and accomplish more. And that is something very valuable.
There's so much to do. That's the thing, it's like it's just wrestling's ever growing, and it's just going to keep getting bigger, and there's just going to keep being more to do, and that's how I'm going to try to keep looking at it.
For everyone watching, if they're not already following you, where can they find you on social media and all of that stuff?
Twitter is Ellieboy_, Ellieboy98_, and Instagram is Elliot Tyler _.
Elliot, thank you so much for this, and good luck in your upcoming matches.
Thank you. I hope to make it through.